Hey YouTube, sorry if this video presentation is my voice not going to be amazing. I'm coughing a lot. I'm very under the weather at the moment. I'm getting over it, but a lot of the symptoms still remain. I thought I'd do a mental exercise, and that really, I'd actually rather it not be me doing this, because I just don't get the kind of viewer volume or, I guess, influence that bigger names in this sort of category like Swag Kage or Set the Programmer 6 do. But I thought I'd throw around a sort of a what-if scenario, and it's a very, it's kind of a plot hole in part one that was a contrivance of probably Kishimoto not thinking about, writing this character in far enough in advance. Or the exact details of this character. And if you rewatch the Chuunin exams arc in part one, the layout of the village representation of Leaf Village 1, the Sand Village 2, and then one of the only three other non-Great Nations, the Rain Village 3. Now, I can't absolutely confirm this, but based on what I've read, yes, Pain was actively leader of the Rain Village at that time, and I'm sure you're noticing what the plot hole is. Sure, none of his Genin were there for the finals, but he could have been present, as he would have had some indication to know that two Jinchuriki were present. In fact, why else do you think he put such a huge stock of Genin in there to begin with? Now, it's possible he wasn't present because of Orochimaru, who would have known about both who he was and a good bit about his Rinnegan. As Kabuto said when he resurrected Madara, they had been researching extensively. So I want to put forth an idea. What if, just for kicks, even though he didn't have any Genin present in the finals, Pain was present for the final round of the Chuunin exams, and by proxy during the Konoha Crush. So, the idea is pretty simple. Now, first off, I think Pain's cautious nature would come into play here. I don't think he's going to be sitting up there with the Hokage and what looks like the Kazekage. He's not going to be up there with Hiruzen and what everyone thinks is Rasa, which is really Orochimaru. His eyes are a little too obvious, and they would wonder why the Rain Village leader is present at all if his village doesn't even have a stake in this final round anymore. I think he'll hide in the crowd, and more precisely, he'll probably make sure his Rinnegan is a little incognito. I think he will bring his animal path, as that tends to be the first one he opens up with, as it's the way to get all the other paths in. It would also deflect any suspicions from people like his mentor Jiraiya, who might be present, who would know him as Nagato, or might even recognize Yahiko, as shown in the former, as shown in his fight with Jiraiya. So, my theory is he probably won't act until the invasion has more or less started winding down. Keep quiet until he needs to move, and that's when, when the dust settles, the casualties are there, Hiruzen's dead, Orochimaru's arms are fried. That, I think, is when he'll start acting, and the animal path will start going ballistic. And this can end one of I guess, three or so very different ways, potentially, but I do think one outcome, just in general, is the likeliest, and I do think, though it will be an uphill battle, I do think it ultimately does yield a win for Pain. Let me explain. So, the biggest advantage he has going on that he didn't have in the Konoha during his personal invasion of Leaf is he'll be dealing with a heavily weakened Leaf Village. Less experienced Konoha 13, Tsunade will not be present, nor will Katsuyu to protect them from things like the citywide almighty push. The big three caveats are, he has Orochimaru present, who's going to have forehand knowledge about him. 2, Jiraiya is going to be at full health and will be there shortly if he hears some Rinnegan-wielding psychos going around smashing up the village. After the Sound and Sand invasion failed, And 3, Mike Guy is there. And honestly, I think more than the second, the first, and the third are going to be the biggest threats to his success. However, I think Swag Kage's did an analysis on whether or not Mike Guy could beat Payne, and the answer is likely not. Mike Guy is far and away far more powerful. With 8 gates, he could crush any of his Rinnegan bodies. The problem is his respawn capacity is the other thing. And even though Orochimaru has forehand knowledge, he wouldn't be able to do much with it. What's he going to do? Walk down to his enemy and say, hey, wait, hold on, everyone. I know I just murdered your Hokage, but hear me out. That guy's more dangerous than I am. I know his weakness. They're not going to trust him, even if he spells it out for them. Even if Jiraiya, who knew Nagato, if Jiraiya got there quickly enough and knew who Nagato was well enough, he might be able to convince them. The problem is, the animal path alone would cause more than enough trouble for what remains of the Leaf Village until he has to start busting out more paths. Of course, he's going to make sure that the Naraka path is at least there, and maybe either the human or, I think it's the Preda path is the one that can absorb the jutsu. But anyways, he's going to make sure that some of his insurance is there, and either his jutsu absorber or his soul absorber is there. Of course, he's going to keep things like Ashura and Deva as kind of his trump cards. Also, Kakashi doesn't know Kamui. At some point, I think he is going to get his hand forced, bust out Deva path, and use the village-wide planetary devastation. This will kill pretty much everyone, including Orochimaru, who is not Jiraiya or maybe Mike Guy, if he's 7th gate or higher. It is at this point they might be able to capitalize on Pain being an individual body. But remember, they're going to have taken some heavy damage too. The other thing is he could just use planetary devastation and game over. And beforehand, he may not even have to use that big Shima Tensei. And we're giving, for what it's worth, outside of the 8th gate, which is a death sentence and doesn't last long for Guy, we're giving him the best benefit of a doubt. Really, too much has to go perfectly for Pain to lose. And the fact that their best source of intel, which was half of their advantage in the Pain invasion arc, despite the fact that it was literally just him and Konan. And remember, we don't know for a fact all those Rangini left the Leaf Village after that. Hell, if he did this, he might have had them stick around and cause some mess themselves just to keep everyone busy. So it would have made his job even easier. He could have focused on the heavier hitters. And if he takes down the core village, he's won, because remember, the 2 Jinchuriki he would be after in this case are too busy being knocked the F out after fighting each other. So he could just go in, swipe them, take them, rip out their souls, or rip out their Biju, and they're done. Like I said, the best explanation for this plot hole is he probably wasn't going to take a gamble with Orochimaru, who knew enough about him there. But that is my take on what I personally think would happen if Pain was present for the Konoha Crush arc. Once again, I'd love to see someone like Seth the Programmer or Swag Kage cover this, because they could, I'm going entirely unscripted. And, honestly, they could probably think about a lot more angles of this than I can. Anyways, you guys have a good one. Peace.